is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Tonight from Fort Worth, Texas, it's the virtual Texas Motor Speedway playing host to another round of the eNASCAR Ignite Series playoffs. We continue our march in the playoffs to trim 50 drivers down to 30 as we look for our $10,000 racing scholarship winner. The third race of 4 in round number 1 of the playoffs is coming to you next on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network.
Restrictor plates reduce air intake. Moving on, drag is one of your biggest competitors.
It slows you down, so make sure your car is streamlined.
And don't forget to get an edge with drafting.
Take advantage of the high-pressure air between your car and the one in front. Then you can slingshot.
You guys taking notes?
At the track, in the classroom, and online. Get special ticket offers for kids at NASCAR.com/KidsTix today.
From the Texas Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to RaceSpot TV's coverage of the eNASCAR Ignite Series playoffs, live on the iRacing Esports Network. Happy to have you along for the ride for round number 3 of the playoffs. Tim Terry, Justin Prince, Hugo Louis pushing all the buttons to make sure we get on the air this evening. And Justin, this has been an exciting first 2 rounds of this series, and we're getting ready to see another one. We get to turn left and right tonight in the Legend Car.
Yes, indeed. It's been very exciting so far, and tonight should be a very challenging race tonight here at this Texas Motor Speedway infield road course. But the pressure's on. You only have a couple more rounds to get points to try and get up to that top 30. If you don't get into that top 30, then you're basically done for the rest of the time. You have to make sure tonight goes well.
Tonight and at Stafford coming up next week are the 2 rounds you really have to pay attention to get yourself locked into that top 30. And the last 2 weeks have been owned by Garrett Lowe and on top of the board, and everybody else seems to be chasing him. Yes, you want to try to get to the top and get as close as you can to the front, but as you mentioned, top 30 is the place that these drivers want to be as we get ready to send those drivers off for qualifying. If you're new to the format, we're going to run 5 heat races this evening, a couple of last chance qualifiers, and then we're going to put 17 into the main. And we were talking a little bit off air, Justin, about this racetrack. This racetrack is pretty unique when it comes to road courses.
Yes, it's very unique in terms of road courses that it's very quick lap times for a road course first off. So the format with the 10 laps and 12 laps and so forth, it's not going to be too much. About 25 to 26 seconds is that lap time range. But second, there's going to be a lot of challenges for these drivers, especially with the format, to be perfect. Specifically including the kinks on this track: turn 2 entry, turn 3 exit, turn 6 entry, and turn 7 exit. Because turn 2 rather, and turn 6, you have the risk of really locking up the car and or getting loose going into the entry. On the exit of the corners, you have the risk of either going sideways in the case of turn 3, or in the case of turn 7, running through the gravel, trying to exit the corner and shifting sideways. So it's about survival and making sure you don't make mistakes to be that car going sideways.
And you also want to get to the front of this qualifying session. They've got 3 minutes to really throw down a lap here. And when you look at that qualifying format that you just saw on your screen a moment ago, those heat races, you really need to get up on the wheel because the top 3 are going to lock themselves in. Simple math, you're going to have 9 or 10 drivers per heat race. So if you start at the back or you botch your qualifying lap, you're really going to have to dig to get up there because you don't really want to be in one of those last chance qualifiers. If you are, it's only the winner that transfers. You can have a lot of traffic if you have a dismal qualifying effort here.
Exactly. It's about track position. With there being just 10 laps again for those heats, you have to basically get a good qualifying run and hope to stay up at the front. Because remember, you have to put yourself in a position to gain points, to be able to gain the prizes, including that $10,000 scholarship, the one-on-one driver instructional with Max Pappas, the introduction to NASCAR racing development personnel, and so forth and so forth. So you need to be able to position yourself to get to that finale to have a chance for all these great prizes as you see on your screen.
And of course, a couple of championship points going towards this qualifying effort that we're seeing on the racetrack right now. And you looked at Garrett Lowe on top, just went to the top of the board. He is the point leader in this one, and he's pretty much been perfect. You can gain 84 points tonight on the max, and he's done that the last couple of rounds in this playoff. And you see that running order currently on your screen. Trupiano in position number 2, and position number 2 in the standings. You've seen the first 2 rounds here, Justin. Who do we see besides those top 2? Who do you see as somebody that could probably knock Garrett Lowe off the top and win this thing tonight?
I think, again, it depends on track position, how things go in terms of the heats and last chance qualifiers. But I see someone like maybe a Zach Novak or somebody being able to have a stretch on the 30 lap main on the long run to try and position yourself up towards the front. But again, a lot can happen, especially with this first heat.
And they're getting ready to grid heat race number 1. And on the front row for this one, you see it on your screen, and that's a pretty tough front row. It's Garrett Lowe and Zach Novak. Daniel Silvestri going to roll off in position number 3. Briar Leprod in position number 4. And completing your top 5, looks like Mikey Neal going to roll off in 5th.
Yeah, rounding outside the rest of the positions as you continue to look. Devin Serra in 6th, Ethan Egnan in 7th, along with Roland Johns, Camden Weiss, as well as James Seawright to round out the top 10. So pretty decent field to start off tonight, especially with that front row with Lowe and Novak. I expect both of those to be fighting hard, especially into turn 1.
So not only do you have to get to the front of the field to transfer in, your top 3 will make their way into that main event that we have later on, but there's also 8 points to win this heat race. You look back, 1 point drop per position. So even if you can finish up in the top 5, gain some points, that could mean the difference between sitting out on that final race and being in that top 30 to race your way into those big prizes that we saw a little bit earlier. So not only are you looking to transfer in to the A main this evening at the Texas Motor Speedway, you're also looking for points too, aren't you?
You absolutely are, and so far just the top 23 have been able to get points by getting to the main so far. So for the drivers that haven't made it in main so far in any of the rounds for the postseason, for the playoffs rather, so far, you kind of want to get those points here now or at Stafford, specifically now, so you have that cushion. So it's going to be a lot of pressure for these drivers, especially with this road course again tonight.
Take the pressure off, and take the pressure off early as you can as the field rolls. This is heat race number 1 for the eNASCAR Ignite Series. First of 5 heat races. We'll remind you that the top 3 transfer in to the main event. Everybody else will go to a last chance qualifier to determine their fate, trying to lock themselves in to that A main as the field gets ready to roll. The front row, Garrett Lowe in the 1, Zach Novak in the 15 as they work their way around this short course at the Texas Motor Speedway. And get ready to let them loose this time. Pace car is in, and here comes the field. Green flag is out, and Lowe does a great job on this start trying to get away.
A really good start as well from Novak to be able to get right in front of Silvestri. But Briar LaPrade did not get the best of start so far. Already top 3 off the single file. Already getting some clean traffic. LaPrade, though, I think wants to get out of that said traffic.
Indeed,
he got problems.
One off the racetrack.
Yeah, Roland Johns, I think, just got hit off the racetrack. Unfortunate for him. But that's what you have with this kind of a racetrack. Possible attrition. Still a long ways to go, though, in Heat 1.
And he's going to have to get up on the wheel and try to make up some time at least and try to get himself a little bit closer to the front, if not to transfer in to get a little bit closer to the front in that last chance qualifier. There is the 11 of LaPrade on your screen trying to reel in the 18 of Sarah for position number 4. And that's not a transfer position, but if he can get past and get a little bit closer to those top 3, he'll try to lock himself into the A-main.
Yeah, remember, the top 3 are the ones that lock themselves up in the main. The rest of the spots, you're fighting for the best possible track position for the last chance qualifiers. So you can't afford to make a mistake like Daniel Silvestri just about had, bobbling up from the bottom of the racetrack and leaving that open. Still able to hold on, but he lost a couple tenths to Sarah.
Beautiful onboard shot there as you ride on board with the number 7 of Silvestri, a Life Legend car driver at the same time. A lot of these kids very talented, not only on the iRacing side of things, but also on the real world. And right now holding on to position number 3 and has a little bit of a gap back to position number 4, about a car length or 2, but he's losing touch with those top 2, Justin, as they pull away.
Yeah, he's losing touch and losing traction to the track as well. Got loose through 2 and 3, and that's going to lose him another car length back. Sarah is right on the doorstep as you're following through, but it's very hard to try and get to that bottom. You have to force the driver in front of you to make a mistake.
Force a driver to make a mistake, or possibly force a mistake out of him other ways, as the 7 holds on. Silvestri in 3rd. 4th is Sarah, and LaPrade continues to be in 5th, but he's looking as the 18 goes a little bit wide. LaPrade can't make up the opportunity, and as he does go that little bit wide, Silvestri begins to pull away a little bit with that bubble spot, that transfer spot in position number 3.
Yeah, Silvestri's trying the higher exit out of turn 7 to try and get some speed. But the part where Sarah's gaining time is on the entry, braking a little bit later, more confident to stick it on the bottom side. Silvestri has been sliding up through the wide sweeping corners of 2, 3, and 6, and 7. So that's that little bit of difference. Sarah's got the better run through the first half of the track at this point. Silvestri, when he has the traction, has the better run from then on out, especially on the exit sometimes out of these sweeping corners.
Looks a little smoother as we continue on in this heat race. Working lap number 8 of 10. There's the 18. The first driver on the outside looking in when it comes to that A main. Devin Serra going to have some really good track position when it comes to the last chance qualifier if he stays where he is right now, as the top 2 are working 2 laps to go, and the 18 is working the back bumper of the 7. Silvestri under fire.
And Silvestri's going to get bumped out of the way. Sarah's going to push him forward, and Silvestri gets loose. Devin Serra's now in the top 3.
And here comes LaPrade to the inside. Little contact there, wheel to wheel, as they go at it for that spot. Silvestri going to try to close back in. LaPrade going to try to take that spot. He's going to go around in the grass, and we're going to have another change for position number 3.
And this is on lap 10 with the white flag coming out for these drivers too, so this spot is still up for grabs. As remember, Garrett Wood, with all this is going on, has pulled away from Zach Novak.
Garrett Lowe working through, and he is going to come to the checkered flag. And this first heat race, Zach Novak going to be safe in position number 2. We'll see him in the A main, and now the battle is back there for that 3rd place spot. And Daniel Silvestri going to come away with it, and he's going to run himself into that A main.
And he had to survive his way through that to a wild final couple laps with him and Devin Serra bumping and baiting. Briar LaPrade able to get that spot, but then having contact on a turn 7, which is a very much risk under that corner. Still a lot of racing to go, though. We'll see how they do in the last chance qualifiers.
You see your full results on the screen, and LeProd all the way back to 7th on that exchange, so not out of it yet. He's still got a last chance qualifier to go, but it's going to be a little bit of a harder sled to try to get up there and win that last chance qualifier, because that's what he has to do in order to go to the A main. Heat race number 2 on the racetrack, and Andy Trupiano going to start on the front row of this one. Dave Walsh going to start in a position number 2. Andreas Eek going to start in position number 3. Jake Matheson in 4th, and Braden Caress position number 5.
Dawson Hess will start alongside him with Brandon Ulm and Ryan Joyner in row 4. Rounding out the final spot on the grid is Vincent Arthur.
So we'll get ready to throw the green flag on this second heat race of 5 this evening. Glad you could be with us on the eNASCAR Ignite Series. Round number 3 on the playoffs as Trupiano and Walsh get ready to send it down here as soon as the pace car vacates the racetrack and we get going again at Texas Motor Speedway for heat race number 2. The pace car is going to make its way off towards pit road, and there goes the 5. Green flag flies. Andy gets a great start on the rest of the field. They're going to all be fighting for second.
And second's able to pull away, but watch that battle for third. Eek has the spot, thankfully for him. Jake Matheson's going to lose about an extra spot too because he got pushed to the wrong side of the racetrack. He's still not on that preferred line in that number 19.
But you know he's going to fight back and try to see if he can get to that preferred line. He's now in line behind the 21 as the 21 of Hess gets up here, makes position number 4 up, and it's one spot out of a transfer position now as he's got Matheson on the back bumper.
Yeah, a lot of pressure now from Hess right towards the back end of him. It's going to be again about forcing a mistake, maybe diving it into the bottom of the corner to force it side by side for the exit. And just not in the position Hess is yet. Maybe a couple laps of working in towards that, he can maybe get the pass together.
He's got some laps to do, so he was right up on the back bumper of Eek. Eek was a little bit wide here, opens the door to the inside for Hess. They'll go side by side as the 21 tries to take that transfer position. Matheson looking on from behind the 21, going to have the inside line here. 40 goes a little bit wide, allows him to have that opportunity to work to the inside, and it'll move Hess up to that transfer position, and Eek back 1. Still a little ways to work here, still half this heat race.
Like I mentioned before during the pre-race, you make a mistake and leave the bottom open at any time, the next driver behind you will be ready to pounce, especially with this hot racetrack. We've seen that perfect example right there.
You've got to take the opportunity if you have the chance to go to the inside and pick up a spot, but the 21 of Hess playing a little bit of defense right now and trying to pull away from Eek, but Eek not letting him do so. You look back to the 40 car, and there's Matheson trying to make a move now to the inside, trying to take that 4th place spot and try to move up and possibly transfer in if he can get one more plus this battle with Eek.
And as you can see, Eek has nothing he can do to defend himself on that spot. Matheson has the better spot to get the launch off the corner and to be able to pull in away at least a car length that we've seen a couple times already tonight. It's going to be hard for Eek to get back towards that way because Matheson is fast and the 21's getting slowed up.
21 slows up. We got trouble. We got Eek way wide over there in the corner, and it almost looked like he was going to gain some spots, gain an advantage, but as the 21 of Hess slows up, he has that little bit of a moment, Justin, but saving grace, he didn't lose that spot.
Yeah, very saving grace right there. I don't think Matheson in Eek expecting to slow up that much. I wonder if maybe he clipped the grass and got maybe a course color penalty for half a second or something like that, but I'm not sure. Either way, that helps Hess hold on to the spot and has some insurance now with 3 to go.
And the top 2 are absolutely gone right now. Trupiano and Walsh out by about 4 seconds over this battle for position number 3 as we continue to work around. There is your leader, Trupiano, and the battle behind the 21 has a 2-length advantage. Hess on Matheson. Matheson, you better believe, is going to dig deep here in these final couple laps to make it happen. He's got to, or he's going to have to go to a last chance qualifier.
Yeah, Matheson knows he's got the faster car. Last time by, he was 2/10 quicker on the racetrack. So he just needs to get up to Hess. He might maybe get up to the back bumper bar in the final lap with the pace he's running.
And if he can get to the bumper bar and just barely move him a little bit of an off there for your third place driver of Hess, trying to maintain as we're on the white flag lap. Final lap for these drivers. Matheson digging deep here.
Yeah, Matheson got the better exit, Hess got loose. This is going to give him the run into the final corners.
Does the 19 make the move? He's on the bumper bar, moves him, and there goes the 21 wide, and Matheson is going to come through and take that third place position. Trubiano is going to go to victory lane in this one. Walsh in a second, and Matheson, last lap pass. He races the legend cars in real life. He knows how to lean into that bumper, and what a beautiful move.
A great timed pass, bump and run really, to be able to get himself, move the driver in front of him, be able to do it cleanly, and allow himself to get on by for the final transfer spot. A great move from Matheson as Hess, Eek, Caress, Arthur, Ulm, and Joyner do not advance.
And they'll have to go to the last chance qualifier, and you better believe that Dawson Hess, when we come to those last chance qualifiers, is going to dig deep to try to make up what he lost in that second heat race. This is heat race number 3. It begins to roll. Your top 5. Dylan Alt going to roll off from position number 1. Riley Thompson on the outside of row number 1. Anthony Burrows, Patrick Moose, and Benjamin Morton, top 5.
Spencer Tart will start alongside him in 6 with Ryan Matthews in the 7th spot. Had some struggles in practice with Joseph John Braun starting alongside him. And Hunter O. Johnson's had some struggles in the heat so far in the postseason. He'll try and turn that around tonight.
And he's got to dig deep here as the third heat race of 5, getting ready to go at it for the eNASCAR Ignite Series, round number 3 on the playoff schedule. And once again, Stafford coming up next week. That's a great little short track, but we're going road racing here this week with the legend cars, and Dylan Alt and Riley Thompson going to lead this field to green. Pace car begins to go wide and exits towards pit road, and the field goes green, and the 14 of Alt gets a great jump. Top 3 single file into 1.
And a good start, but Thompson has someone challenging the outside. Patrick Moose almost went side by side as Ryan Matthews gets turned into the field.
Matthews goes sideways. We continue on racing, and Burrows and Moose go at it. The 2 on the back bumper. Man, oh man, these guys are getting racy in this heat race.
Yeah, they want to get the best spots possible when it comes to the main. They're going to try and fight as hard as they can. Thompson's got some good speed on the road courses. Dylan Olt's got some good speed. Patrick Moose, he knows he's got a decent car. He just has to position himself to the right spot. So these drivers are all going to fight as hard as they can to get as much space as they can, especially with Morton behind them in 4th.
And Moose went wide into turn 1 on that initial start, went to the outside, made it stick, and moved to position number 3. And I don't think he's done yet. He's got Thompson and Alt right ahead of him, but you've got to be careful as well. Morton falls back a little bit behind the 33 on your screen right now in position number 3. You see that 4th place car just barely in your shot that time. The top 3 are pulling away. That's not good news for that 48 car on your screen of Morton.
Yeah, really not good news there. And you see the difference in how he's taking the corners compared to the top 3. He's being more conservative, not as fast on the exits. Meanwhile, the top 3 in front of him, taking the corners, of course, wider on the exits, meaning they're carrying more speed, and avoiding that bottom gravel on the exit of turn 7. With Morton, as you follow along with him, he's trying to just maintain grip, maybe try and get some spots here, as well as really struggling, especially on that exit, to get a proper speed. You see the difference, about 2-3 tenths of a second per lap.
And that's the field in front of him pulling away, and that's those transfer positions into the A-main, pulling away from Benjamin Morton right now. The good news is that he's got about 2.5 seconds back to position at number 5, so if he can't catch those 3 in front of him, that's your transfer position on your screen, the 33 of Patrick Moose, as we're halfway through this heat race. If he can't catch those 3, he's got a little bit of a buffer room back. The 13 of Riley Thompson, great job in position number 2, and Dylan Alt, your leader. There's your 4th place driver, Benjamin Morton, trying to get up to those top 3. You see the wide shot there. There's a lot of ways to go to get to those top 3, but also not a whole lot of traffic behind him right now.
Yeah, Morton's in great track position, especially with drivers drifting behind him. So he's just got to hope for maybe a mistake from Moose, because anything can happen, as we've seen in the heats, where it can really shuffle the order really in the final couple of laps.
And you want to be up here to transfer into the A main. Those top 3 doing a great job. There's the 33. That is your transfer position, your bubble position on your screen. And Patrick doing a great job right now, keeping it on the racetrack, trying to close in on those top 2, but it looks like the top 2 pulling away here in the late laps of this one. So as long as the 33 can hit his marks in this third heat race, he'll be going in to that A main in just about 2 laps time.
Yeah, he's looking very comfortable right now, and he's still keeping up a decent pace with Riley Thompson, in fact. Just about 3-4 car lengths back. It's just, in terms of the lap times, this time by, he ran about the 26.2s, 26.4s. 26.3 is Riley Thompson. Dylan Owen is another 10th faster on top of that. So these drivers just a little touch faster compared to Moose.
And Morton falling back just a wee bit, but still almost 4 seconds or over 4 seconds ahead of Hunter Johnson, who runs in position number 5 right now. So a little bit of breathing room from 4th to 5th, but those are also not transfer positions, trying to make their way into the last chance qualifier if they finish where they do. Dylan Alton, the 14, putting up a great effort here in this heat race, and not really a whole lot of pressure from behind him. He'll take that checkered flag up here, and he'll go into that A main. As long as he can keep it on the racetrack, he'll have a pretty good run, I think, in this feature coming up.
Yeah, in terms of the lap times, he stayed very consistent once the green flag dropped. Within 0.2 of a second were all his lap times for all 10 laps in this one, Tim.
And you look at the results, Alt, Thompson, and Moose top 3 transfer. Then there's that about 2-second gap back to Morton. He'll have a good spot in the last chance qualifier. Johnson, Matthews, Tart, Braun, and Burrows complete your top 9 in heat race number 3. And we get ready to grid for heat race number 4.
Yeah, this should be a competitive one for sure, Tim.
Nicholas Labish in the front row with Austin Edwards, Jay Mitchell-Adams, Raj Karuth, and Pipison going to roll off position number 5.
Ryan Pappison there. He'll start alongside his brand new ALD teammate Steven Rosales. In row number 4, it's Dee Parker and Evan Black, with Lucas Graham rounding out the 9 drivers in this heat.
Should be another exciting heat race number 4 to transfer 3 more onto the A main. And we'll see who can get the good break. And we saw in the last heat race, we saw Moose kind of sail it in on the outside and was able to pick up 3rd and pick up some track position. So we'll see if anybody gets a little bit brave here in this heat race and sends it on down to those first couple of corners to make up some track time.
I expect people to be very brave, as we've seen so far in the action. I expect drivers to fight as hard as they can, as we've seen, especially in the first lap, knowing that some of them have not earned a single that many points overall because they haven't made a main yet. They've gotten okay points in the qualifier, but it's a 28-point difference between making it into the show and missing out when you're in the last chance qualifier. Expect the pressure to keep on going if you're in the middle of the field and haven't earned those points yet.
Trying to gain as much as you can starting here in the qualifier, and we are green for heat race number 4. And Labish goes to the outside, and or inside picks up that lead position. We've got a battle behind. Edwards trying to hold on to position number 2. He's got Adams challenging.
Adams in a decent spot for the pass. He's on the bottom, but he got loose. Still able to maintain the spot, though, and here comes everybody else who's along that bottom side, just able to shut the door.
And got to make sure that you keep in line the 25. As long as he doesn't have a run to the inside, the 9 of Edwards looks good. But look at that freight train around on that inside. You can't make a mistake here early, because if you do, you're falling out of a transfer position all the way back outside the top 5.
Yeah, Edwards has to hug the bottom as much as he can if he wants to keep the final transfer spot. If he even lifts a touch off the bottom, half a car length, Pappison will be ready to attack and get right underneath to try and battle for the spot.
And as Pappison, you have to play offense, but you have to play a little bit of defense as well. Looked like he slipped up just a wee bit there on that lap, and right behind that 30 car, ready to pounce your top two. Look like they're breaking away a little bit from this battle for position number 3, and that is your transfer position currently held by Austin Edwards 4 laps in.
And I think right now everyone who's stacking up behind is thinking, okay, I want to get by because it's 0.3 of a second difference between the top two a foot away and everyone else behind him right now in terms of Edwards. So if you're Pappison, you want to be careful with the pass. You just got to find the proper place to do it because I think he knows he's a bit faster.
And if you move the Edwards car this early and something happens behind and everybody stacks up, that might be a missed opportunity per se. You really have to wait for your turn to try to make this happen. And Pappison right now looking to try to make something happen, but we saw it with Matheson in his heat race. You can use the bumper, you can try to finesse somebody out of the way as long as you do it at the right time.
But look at this, Pappison's underneath the bumper bar, watch him to dive it.
Yeah, he's going to make a perfect move here. The 9 of Edwards going to be dispatched from position number 3 and outside of a transfer position. And now Carruth trying to make up one more position as well. And he popped the cork on that battle for position number 3. But Pappison now has to be aware of those drivers behind and try to make sure that he pulls away, hits his marks, and drives his way into the A-main.
And he hit his marks really well on the exit of turn 7. You see the difference between him and the 30 and how much difference it makes when you get some clean air, have some space, not getting held up a bit. It's going to be tough for Carruth, I think, to keep up now that Pappison has the clearing and is getting the better exits out of the sweeping corner.
He's not losing touch with him right now as much as some of the others behind are, but also keep in mind as you ride on board with the 4th place driver trying to make his way into the A-main, trying to catch Pappison for position number 3, but laps not on their side either as we're coming close to that 2-lap to go mark, so you gotta dig deep here, and Pappison in front looks like he's digging deep too because he's catching Adams for position number 2 here.
And catching him pretty quick in terms of the pace. He's 0.3 of a second quicker. So he knows he's got a fast car. Pappison does. Carruth, I think he needs to hope that there's a mistake up in front to be able to get a transfer spot now in that 30.
He was working that wheel. You saw what the onboarders were on that final lap. Time definitely not on his side right now with this 1 lap to go. But Labish up in front trying to hold on to heat race number 4's victory. He's got a little bit of a cushion back, about 2 seconds back to the rest of the field. The 20 will come across the stripe this time and will take home heat race number 4. And he'll come across here, looks pretty good up in front. The battle is for position number 2, and looks like Adams stepped it up in that last lap, put a little bit of a gap between him and Pappison. And Pappison, with that little move halfway through this heat race, will roll on and take position number 3 and transfer in to the A-main. Carruth and Edwards complete your top 5. Rest of the running order on your screen, and some of those drivers are going to have to dig just a wee bit deeper to try to get into the A-main through those last chance qualifiers.
Yeah, they will. With Carruth, you're going to see the differential about 0.2 of a second just underneath. That was because he sent it hard into the entrance of turn 6, hit the back bumper bar for Pappison, but couldn't move Pappison to get the final transfer spot. So Carruth tried to get the move to go, just not enough time for him that 30.
Heat race number 5, final heat race on the racetrack. Aaron Mulrooney Jr., Travis Oliver, Kenny Brady, Jacob Hall, and Dylan Hodge, your top 5.
And alongside the 5th spot on the track, Jarrett Liebert. In row 4, it'll be Tyler Marble and Howie Briss, with Jake Waltman rounding out the 9 drivers in this heat. As we get ready to go, Kenny Brady sits position number 3 on this racetrack. He sits 4th
in the point standings, so one of those drivers to watch to try to move up here. Obviously, you want to lock yourself in to the A main, but you also want to get those valuable points to have yourself a little bit more of a cushion going in to the Stafford Motor Speedway. And there's a little bit of a contact on that start. Green flag flies. It's Brady and Hall going at it already for that third place position. Looks like Hall got the better of Brady.
And watch Hall, he had some struggles in practice, but he's in a decent spot because the top two are contact.
Free car going to go for a spin in the grass. Mulrooney is off the racetrack, and that's a tough break for the driver that led this field to green, and he's probably more than likely going to have to dig in the last chance qualifier as the 37 of Hall going to be the beneficiary. He was far enough back to miss that, Justin. He's going to go to the lead.
Now, Hall got some good luck there, and he's having one of his strongest runs of the night so far. But the 27, these cars can take a bit of a beating with these legends. It's just going to be the matter, can Oliver hold on, because Liebert has shown some speed a lot in the first couple rounds of the postseason.
Talked about qualifying efforts being supreme here, track position being key. The 31 of Liebert closing up. We got one around behind them. I believe that's the 4 of Hodge going for a spin, and he'll get back on the racetrack, but he'll lose all his track position that he gained.
Yeah, in terms of that, just locked it up going into the entry of 2, and driver alongside also locked it up. But look on board of Liebert. This track is very slick. Average track temp 106 degrees Fahrenheit right now. It's hard to maintain grip whatsoever, and they're battling on every single exit to make sure they don't go sideways.
Need to keep the car on the racetrack and on the straight and narrow in order to not only get some points, but lock yourself into tonight's A main. The 27 of Oliver on the back bumper of Kenny Brady, and Brady looking over Jacob Hall, top 3, keeping each other honest up in front. And Liebert trying to hold on to this little freight train up in front. The 6 goes to the inside. Brady battles with Hall, and looks like he's going to go to the lead position. Hall going to fall back to second. So a quick little exchange. They don't lose a whole lot of time in the 37. Little bump. Oh, he's going to go up, and oh boy, that's not the way to do it. And Hall off the racetrack. Tough break.
A very tough break. The 27, I think, might have locked up the brakes a little bit and just made contact. Nothing else he could really do, try to carry too much speed. Unfortunate for Hall for sure. But now it's going to be the question, can Oliver hang on? Because it looks like he's starting to really struggle with the grip on the racetrack.
It might have a little bit of damage to that car as well. Sitting in position number 2, and the gap back from 3rd to 4th. There's a little bit of a gap back there from Liebert back to Marble, about a 1.5 seconds or so. There is your 31 of Liebert. There's your top 3 on your screen. And Liebert let those guys in front battle it out. A couple of little incidents there, and now he finds himself in 3rd and comfortably in position number 3 to try to transfer into tonight's A main.
Yeah, great time, a great spot, I should rather say right now. As you see, 1.4 seconds is the difference, and he's running a couple tenths faster on average per lap compared to Marble, so this could be safe and secure as long as he doesn't get too loose or touches the grass too much to slow on up into this section of the racetrack.
Keep it on the racetrack, and you'll keep an A main position this evening in this 3rd round of the playoffs. And Liebert doing a great job, Oliver doing a great job, and Kenny Brady trying to inch himself not only into the A main, but a little bit closer to the top of the championship standings as we run here in the eNASCAR Ignite Series playoffs. The 31 doing a great job in position number 3, losing a little bit of touch to those top 2, but he's got a gap all the way back to a position at number 4 as we are working lap number 9, and there's the 6th car of Kenny Brady, your leader.
He just got the white flag as well, and you can see how slippery this track is starting to get with the temperatures too, and the rubber starting to move up the racetrack in turns 2 and 3, but at this point has a lot of room to hang on in front of Travis Oliver.
And he looks smooth right now. There's not really a whole lot of wheel movement per se. He's not really out of control in that race car. looks pretty smooth for Kenny Brady, and that's all he needs to do. He's going to win heat race number 5. Brady is going to move on. Oliver Liebert going to move on. And then Marble, first one on the outside. Jacob Hall, Dylan Hodge, Mulrooney, Briss, and Waltman complete your field. And now, Justin, heat races are over. We are going to go to a couple of last chance qualifiers.
Yeah, the last chance you can get to move on. Remember, you have to win your last chance qualifier to move to the main for the eNASCAR Ignite Series playoffs. So track position from where you finished in your heat, as well as how you run, are very important here, Tim.
And you've got to get up on the wheel, because there's a couple of stout race cars that ran really well in their heat races. Your top 5, Devin Serra, Benjamin Morton, Tyler Marble, Andreas Eek, and Austin Edwards, your top 5.
And right behind them for the rest of the spots, as you continue to look at your gridding, 6th spot, again, Ryan Matthews, Dylan Hodge, Vincent Arthur, D. Parker rounding out the top 10, Brian LaPrade, Joseph John Braun, and Howie Briss, along with Ryan Joyner and Lucas Graham, rounding out the 15 drivers in the first last chance qualifier.
And you saw the 11 of LaPrade on your screen. I think that's the most intriguing driver right now, because he was almost in through the heat race and had that little issue and fell back to 7th. And when you fall back that far, it affects where you start in this last chance qualifier. And there's a lot of traffic in front and only one position going in to the A main. If you're the 11, you've really got to get up on the wheel here.
You have to, and we've seen he's got some good speed. He was battling for that final transfer spot before, so he's going to be hungry to get back up there. The question is, I think, does he have the track position? He's got a lot of cars he has to try and maneuver through to get up to drivers like Morton and Serra, who also have very fast cars here at the Texas Road Course. It's going to be very challenging if you're from the middle of the field to be able to challenge up the front.
Eek also had a very strong race car in his heat race, was on the wrong side of the transfer position zone, so watch that number 40 on the outside. Here goes the field. Serra puts the hammer down, a little checkup. We're 3 wide behind them, almost 4 wide as we pilot into one, and somebody's going to pay the price. It's a 35 going around, and it looks like, for the most part, minus a little bit of damage to these legend cars in the back, everybody else keeps it relatively straight.
But we had more trouble. Ethan Egnan, as you see in the backdrop, just got spun off the racetrack. More drivers are getting loose. Vincent Arthur's also off the racetrack. 3 wide does not work when you're going through the quick kinks at the Texas Road Course, but that's caused the top 6 to pull in away single file.
You almost have to go, though. That sense of urgency, there's only one going in to that A main, and you've got to get there. If you're in the middle of the pack, you almost feel that sense of urgency, and it paid, or it cost some of those drivers as we continue to work through this field. And looking back, there's the 40 of Eek trying to battle with Edwards in the 9, and this is a battle for 4th and 5th, I believe. It's not for the lead position, so these guys are going to have to get on the wheel.
They absolutely have to try and gain up some time, because they got Serra, who's got a decent pace on this racetrack. They're going to need to be perfect as can be to be able to gain any sort of time and hope for mistakes to be able to gain track position and get by cars that might hold you up as the 9 gets sideways.
9 trying to set that pass up, and he's going to lose one instead of gain one, and Parker going to go by. Maybe not. Little contact there, little bump and run, and the 45 of Parker going to go up and off the racetrack, and it's pretty much going to end his run to try to make his way into the A main. And there's a couple more cars around at the back, and they continue to work around this racetrack, and man, the tough just gets getting tougher for the 45 of Parker. Up in front, Serra leads, Morton in second, and Ryan Matthews sits in position number 3. There's your 3rd place driver in points, in danger of not making it in to the A main.
And that has huge implications if Matthews cannot get up there. Look at how hard he's pushing into these corners. Late braking, trail braking actually a little bit into these corners, trying to gain any time he can on the entries. He still has some time. He still has about 7 laps to go to do something, but he's going to have to push very hard because he's still a 10th off of Devin Serra.
2 really good race cars, really good race car drivers in front of him. He's got half the race to get it done. It's easier said than done, though, when you're turning 20-something second laps, and You look at those top two, and they haven't dipped a wheel all race long. The 48 was strong in his heat race, Morton, as was Sarah, but they ended up on the wrong side of the inch, and right now, those top two pulling away a little bit from Matthews. You ride on board with your second place driver, Morton, trying to gain some time, trying to set up your leader, Sarah. That's the only transfer position into the A-main.
You can see how much he's working to the wheel and trying to match up the lines, try and keep up the pace, late break his way into the corners. And it's going to be, he can see as hard as he is going, to the point where he's having to turn right to make sure the car doesn't switch around, or swap around rather, on the corner exit. So it's going to be a tough task. He has to, I think, hope for maybe Sarah make a slight mistake.
And you saw that little kickback of the wheel, and you saw Sarah pull away from Morton, who's trying to hold on to position number 2. Yeah, it's 7 points in the grand scheme of things, but it's also not able to transfer on and try to gain some more points in the A-main. If you are Morton, there is your leader, Sarah, as we are 2 or 3/4 of the way through this one. There's Eek on the going to be on the outside on this next corner of the number 9 of Edwards as they battle hard for position number 4. Little bump back there, but it's going to be Edwards taking position number 4 away. You see those top 3 in front. He's got some work to do in a short time to get there.
I don't know if it's going to be enough. He's going to have to hope for something major maybe to happen to be able to get back up to where Matthews, Morton, and Sarah are on the racetrack, because I don't think you can gain up that much time in terms of about 2, 3, 4 seconds, in fact, compared to the top 3.
You're going to need some catastrophic mistakes from your top 3 in order to see that 4th place driver of Edwards in the A-main. We have 2 laps to go now in this one. The 18 of Sarah continues to lead and really holding a pretty wheel right now. Morton's trying to close in, but really can't make up that gap. There's the 18. Hasn't really dipped a wheel all race long. As they'll come by, they'll see the white flag this next time by.
And they got that white flag. In fact, as you can see them zoom on by the front stretch and the start and finish line. But I think Sarah has to make sure he just doesn't mess up the corner. Expect Morton to send it as hard as he can, like we've seen in multiple different heats so far.
Gonna try to send it, and indeed he does, but it sticks, but it doesn't stick enough, as the 18 will come out of the final set of corners, and he'll come down. Devin Sarah will move on to the A-main. Benjamin Morton, Ryan Matthews, Austin Edwards, Andreas Eek, and everybody else will have to load up their Legend cars and watch the A-main from the grandstands. There is your top 10 on your screen, led by Devin Sarah, Benjamin Morton, Ryan Matthews, Austin Edwards, and Andreas Eek, your top 5. Sarah moves on. Everybody else will watch the second last chance qualifier and the A-main from the grandstands.
Yeah, some tough breaks for some drivers, not having the best track position for the last chance qualifier, for them having some decent paces. But overall, you had to really be up towards maybe that top 8 and have a good start to maybe compete and get yourself up towards the front. Because now, you have one more last chance qualifier to get all set to go for. And then we get to the main here. Still a lot of pressure is on for these final few drivers.
You've got to get up on the wheel, and you look at the top 5 right now as they begin to roll behind the pace car. Dawson Hess was really good in his heat race. Raj Karuth was really good in his heat race too. Mikey Neal, Hunter Johnson, and there's Jacob Hall, who we thought had the speed enough to transfer in through his heat race and had some issues and fell back, and he'll start 5th in this final last chance qualifier.
Brian Caress will start alongside him with Steven Rosales and Roland Johns in row 4. Rounding out the top 10 as well will be Spencer Hart and Aaron Mulrooney Jr.
Brendan Ulm, Evan Black, James Seawright, Anthony Burrows, Jake Waltman, and Camden Wiest going to complete your top 16 to start this one. Mulrooney sitting back there in 10th has some work to do, and we talked about qualifying effort, where you finish in your heat. It's going to play out dividends when it comes to making into the A-main. Guys like Mulrooney are going to have to get up on the wheel. There's the green flag for 12 more laps of competition at the Texas Motor Speedway, and the 21 shot out of a cannon. They're battling for second now.
Groot didn't get the best of starts, didn't keep up with the 21, and that's going to bunch things on up as Hunter O. Johnson sent off the racetrack in the backdrop, but everyone else stays single file.
Carruth runs in position number 2, and as long as he can keep it on the racetrack, he'll have to try to reel in that leader. There's a hornet's nest right there for about third on back. Everybody jockeying for position here in the opening laps of this one, but I saw Dawson Hess get out front as we've got one go around here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're all going to stack them up in the corner, and that's not going to be good for some A-main chances as we see the 17 loop it back around on the racetrack. Mikey Neal from position number 4. He's missing a couple of right side fenders.
Yeah, unfortunate for Neal because I think he might have got loose going into the corner, maybe locked it up a little bit, came up across the track. Nothing you can do from here on, there on out. But now, look who's catching up. Raja Carruth. He's got the speed, and he's catching up to Hess.
Hess in the 21 has Carruth on the outside. Little slide, four-wheel drift from the 30. He'll maintain position number 2. But I was about to say I saw Hess get out in front, and it looked like he was pushing the car a little bit more than maybe you would if you were the leader trying to get away and trying to build an advantage. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of a crack in the armor from Hess. Carruth is there, and we saw that little slide. Without that slide, we may have had a new leader.
I'm not sure what Carruth was doing there. He had a decent pace. He just had to be more patient, I think, with the pass try. To carry a bit too much speed, maybe into turn 6, trying to keep up with Hess's back end, because you cannot really make the top side work all that well for passes. We'll see if he's able to position himself up to the back bumper bar this time on.
Right on board with Carruth, trying to reel in your leader, Hess. He's there to the back bumper. He's got about a half car length in between. Just can't make that move. Can't get to that back bumper to try to finesse it. There it is right there down to the corner. Can he move the 21? He's looking to the inside. Little contact, 21 up and out on the barriers, and that's going to end the night for Dawson Hess. Man, oh man, what a tough break.
Yeah, Hess was really trying to save that machine throughout the entire exit of the corner, was slipping and sliding like these two are out of turn 7, and nowhere for Carruth to go. Unfortunate for him as Carruth goes sliding.
Four-wheel drift again. It allows Hall to get back to the front. And now Jacob Hall, we saw it in his heat race. He had speed to take away the win, but circumstance was not there. But now it's Carruth having to play offense once again. We saw it earlier with Hess. Can he make the move on Hall and take it away? This is the only transfer position to that A main.
And both of these drivers keep on going for four-wheel slides. They're trying to pick up the pace, bobbing and weaving the wheels on the exit of the corners. It's going to be very challenging to hold on if you're the leader, because you don't want to make the move too late at this point. If you want to make the pass, look how close they're getting with all the slipping and sliding.
Carruth is there on Hall. Hall's got to hit his marks and make sure he doesn't leave the door open for the 30. There's the door barely open on the inside. Carruth cannot get there. And oh, by the way, Aaron Mulrooney, who started back in position number 10, has reeled in these top 2. He's within a second. Should something happen with these top 2, Mulrooney will be here to pounce.
And Mulrooney just set the fastest lap times of the race. He's running 26 flats. These guys are still in the 26.3 range. So he's got a strong pace to be able to keep on up. It's going to be needing some luck, though, because there's not a lot of time for Mulrooney to be able to even catch to the back of Carruth.
He might be in the catbird seat here as Carruth drives it in deep, trying to get back to the back bumper of Hall. You better believe if he can get there, he takes a little peek in the inside, flashes a nose down there to try to make a pass. Now he gets a little bit into the back bumper of the 37. Back into it again, looking to the inside on the rumble strips. Cannot get their hand full of steering wheel and off the racetrack.
Too much of the rumble strips, just able to save it. A heck of a save from Raja Carruth to be able to keep it without hitting the barriers or going off into the grass. But it's going to be a challenge just to hold on to second. White flag coming out.
Final lap, and Jacob Hall is trying to run away from this battle for position number 2. Four-wheel slide again for Carruth. He's going to lose position number 2, but does Mulrooney have enough to get up there? Oh, man. That number 3 car might fall a little bit short.
Not enough time. He had the strongest pace of the race, but not enough time to keep up with Hall.
And you'll see that 37 of Hall in the A main, and everybody else is going to have to retire just a wee bit early. Mulrooney, Carruth, Ulm, and Burrows, your top 5. Yes, there's some championship points there, Justin, but there's not an A main transfer position.
Yeah, not the best of points days, of course, for anyone who did not advance to this. And for some, they're going to need to hope that they have a much stronger run next week with Stafford. But hey, we got a main coming up in just a few moments here, Tim, where the majority of the points are getting all set to be handed out here tonight. With that, why don't we go to commercial break here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Esports Network. You're watching the eNASCAR Ignite Series from Texas Motor Speedway's Infield Road Course.
And that's how restrictor plates reduce air intake. Moving on, drag is one of your biggest competitors.
It slows you down, so make sure your car is streamlined.
And don't forget to get an edge with drafting.
Take advantage of the high-pressure air between your car and the one in front. Then you can slingshot it.
You guys taking notes?
At the track, in the classroom, and online. Get special ticket offers for kids at NASCAR.com/KidsTix today.
Welcome back to the Texas Motor Speedway and the eNASCAR Ignite Series. Playoff round number 3 and the A main set to go green here. We're going to try to crown another winner in round number 3. We'll see if Garrett Lowe can continue his streak. Tim Terry, Justin Prince, and Justin, this one is going to be exciting. We'll see if Garrett Lowe can continue his stranglehold on this eNASCAR Ignite Series.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. Who's going to be able to break that stranglehold? He's been having a strong pace tonight. Some of the fastest practice times, top pole time, as well as the top race time so far. But Andy Trupiano has been able to keep on up with him so far, as we've seen in the heat when they were matched up against each other. Question is, what's going to happen when the pressure's on for 30 laps?
We've seen turn 1 be very interesting. We've seen a couple of trouble spots, and especially on this start, it's going to be very entertaining. We saw a fan out of 4 wide in one of the last chance qualifiers. So the question is, who is impatient and who goes towards the front of the field early as the cars begin to grid for this final race? And there's Garrett Lowe on the pole position, and Trupiano going to, looks like, start on the outside, and there's your top 2 in your point standings, top 2 on the racetrack.
They'll start alongside Dylan Alt and Nicholas Labiche in row number 2. Watch Alt, he's had some fast pace too.
Row number 3, very stout as well. Kenny Brady and Zach Novak. Dave Walsh, Riley Thompson, looking back to 9th place. Jay Mitchell Adams, and completing your top 10, Travis Oliver.
And rounding out the rest of the field, Daniel Silvestri, Jake Matheson. Along in the next row, Patrick Moose and Ryan Pappison, with Jarrett Liebert and Devin Serra rounding out row 8. The final spot went to Jacob Hall tonight after a wild last chance qualifier.
So we've seen some sprint races per se in these heat races, 10 laps. Last chance qualifiers were 12. This is 30. I'd anticipate a little bit of patience from those drivers up in front. For those drivers mid-pack, trying to get to the front as Garrett Lowe mashes the gas. Green flag is out for playoff round number 3 in this eNASCAR Ignite Series. And they're fighting for 3rd right now. Top 2 get single file. Alt going to try to take 3rd, and they're side by side behind them.
And a very good start for that top 3 again. Labiche, though, not in the perfect spot. Should maybe let Zach Novak on by. Will do so as we have a bit of contact towards the back. Everyone's able to keep it stable, though.
For the time being, there's one around. I believe that might be the 12 car going for a little bit of a slide. And that's Jay Mitchell Adams in the middle of the pack. The 27 of Oliver along with him. And Well, the hole just got a little bit deeper if you want to get your way towards the front of the field if you're one of those 2 entries near the back, but top of the field right now, top 8 or so, single file, and looks like they're going to log some laps here. Obviously 30 laps, a little bit longer than what we ran in the heat races.
Yeah, much longer, where we'll see maybe a touch bit more of fall-off. We haven't seen too much fall-off in the races so far in each of the rounds, but we've seen how slippery the track has gotten in terms of the tire wear by the end of some of these heats and the last chance qualifiers. So it's going to be interesting to see how they fare by, say, the halfway point as well as at the checker flag.
And now you've got some of those heat race winners that ran really strong in their heat races all together now in this A main. Trupiano on the back bumper of Garrett Lowe. Lowe trying to go 3 for 3. Trupiano trying to gain some points on your point leader, and obviously you're trying to get yourself into the top 30 for that final round to crown the eNASCAR Ignite Series champion. But it's always nice to be on top of the points heading into that final round.
Yeah, it's very helpful to be on top of the point standings in that final round. Gives you a bit of cushion in case something happens at Stafford for the final round. Because remember, the goal is to get into the top 30 to get to Martinsville for the finale. And once that happens, points reset, and it's a winner-take-all situation as Novak takes third.
And it's not only going to be Novak moving by. Dylan Alt is under fire from LaBiche. Looks like he might have company in Walsh, Brady, and a few others back behind there as well. Alt on the outside of this corner, crossover back to the inside of LaBiche, and will continue to go side by side for that position. Walsh closing in, waiting for something to happen with these 2 in front of him.
And right now you can see Alt's going to push him up the racetrack. That opens up the door once again for the 8 for Dave Walsh to get on by. But he's going to have a bit of a fight. LaBiche wanting to get to that bottom side. It's going to be very difficult. Maybe he has that opening right behind Walsh if he's lucky.
I think he's going to have that opening, but he doesn't want him to go there. He wants that position away as Dylan Alt has found a spot just ahead of them. LaBiche and Walsh, and there's Brady as well in the 6 car, trying to get at least a top 5 run out of this one. Currently sitting 4th in the point standings, has that little bit of a cushion, but wants to get a top 5 run out of this Texas Motor Speedway round.
Yeah, he wants to get as many points, again, that we've talked about a lot tonight as possible. He's had some decent runs again in the standing. But the question is, again, can he get the most points he needs to be able to solidify himself up? He's got a decent start tonight. You want to get the most points possible.
Right now, the most points possible going to Garrett Lowe up in front. He's established about a 3-car length lead, and as I say that, Trupiano gets a great run on him. Lowe holding on to that top spot, but being pressured and being kept honest by that 5 as you ride on board with Trupiano, and they've actually got about a 2-second advantage on Novak and the rest of the field. So right now, this is theirs to lose up in front.
Yeah, they've had a blistering pace per lap right now. Compared to much of the field, they are about a 1/10 of a second faster than over half the field right now. But the thing is, third on back is starting to pick up the pace too to try and keep up with them. Right now, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th all ran a 1/10 of a second faster, with Novak leading the way and everyone matching Novak's line.
Novak leading that second pack per se up to the top 2 as the top 2 continue to pull away. Lowe and Trupiano, you ride on board with Garrett Lowe, looking back from the bumper bar back to position number 2, and there's Novak in that sim speed shot number 15, getting a little bit bigger into the onboard cam looking back, but right now the top 2 trying to settle it amongst themselves, Lowe and Trupiano gets a great entry there and takes a little look-see to the inside.
Yeah, he got stuck a little bit on the rumble strip, kicked the car a little bit out towards the right side, just not in the perfect spot yet. He's going to have to be patient and not overdrive the car. If he starts overdriving the car, like we've seen a little bit with his heat race compared to Lowe, he's going to start losing some time. He can't afford to do that in a 30-lap rate.
Can't afford to lose any time now, and especially if you do, you're going to have that second pack up on you. Zach Novak still about 2 seconds behind, kind of matching the lap times of the leaders. They're about within the same ballpark And then you've got Alt back in position number 4, has been able to move up to that 4th place position. Dave Walsh has been able to keep 5th away from LaBiche, and Brady's back there as well, albeit Brady's fallen off the pace a little bit from what looks like a second pack right now, led by that 15 of Novak.
Yeah, Novak's trying to break the pack as well, because Alt got a little bit loose, I think, out of turn 3, and that allowed Novak to get a bit of a 6-car length advantage into turn 6. He's going to stretch that back out again, because he's now starting to outpace everyone behind him, this time by at the stripe. Lost a bit of time overall, but everyone else fell about to at least 26.4 rather, compared to his 26.3s.
This lead battle is intriguing up in front. Trupiano continues to keep Garrett Lowe honest in front, and he'll make a run, he'll gain some time, he'll be on the back bumper, and then Garrett Lowe kind of turns up the wick a little bit and stays ahead of that second place driver on back. But Garrett Lowe has his hands completely full for a driver who's used to going to victory lane in this series. He's got some encouragement from the back bumper, Trupiano trying to keep him honest.
And they're starting to switch lap times as well, because Lowe, he's definitely causing the pressure. Look at the difference in the past couple laps, including this time by. About even, 0.2 of a second faster was Trupiano on lap 14 a couple laps ago. So he's keeping the pace, keeping pressure up. Again, trading them back and forth, up at the front.
And you don't have to make the move right now. You're pulling away just a little bit from third on back. You're right there on the back bumper as you ride on board with Trupiano trying to set up the move. But as long as you can keep him there, you don't really have to make the move right now. We are, yes, past the halfway point in this race, working lap number 18, soon to be 19 of 30. So you don't have to make the move now, but you have to be close enough in order to make that move when the time is right.
Yeah, and you don't want to make it too early, because as we've seen, if you make the move too early, you're going to allow a lot of time for the driver behind you to make a run on the final corner, maybe go for a bit of a bump and run and or catch up to your back bumper bar that adds some pressure, make you a little bit loose. So you want to time it out perfect. You can't leave the door open if you're low, but you also don't want to make the pass, say, lap 21, and then open the door back up for Lowe to make the pass back on lap 29, for example.
And you know, if that move is made, that Lowe is going to go on that offense and try to take it back from Trupiano if he does end up making the move. It gets a little bit closer back there for position number 3. I think Dylan Alt has turned up the wick just a little bit. Novak continues to hold position at number 3, but I think Alt has really turned it up these last couple laps. I think he'll be there before this thing is all said and done. As Novak continues to run in third, he's going to have company.
Yeah, Novak has been going back and forth again with those times, as you said, but remember, he was starting to get lost a little bit of time. Took him a couple laps to get back into rhythm, because remember, you have to stay in rhythm a lot of times on the road courses to make sure you hit your marks. Alt's back in that rhythm. That's allowing to pick up time. That's allowing him to gain time back, at least to the back of Zach Novak.
We've seen Zach Novak last night in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series on the oval side. You get a little bit of time to breathe on the ovals, but right here, as you mentioned, you have to be on it every single lap and every single corner to not scrub off any speed. Novak occupies that third place position. You ride on board with Dylan Alt in position number 4, and you see that even battle in front of them. It's close enough, but it's far away enough as well to not be a factor, as you see the look back from your leader, and you see that number 5 of Trupiano on the back bumper, and you saw a shade of that battle for third back there, but they have enough cushion. It's over 3 seconds with 7 laps to go.
Yeah, but if they start making some contact, maybe pushing too hard to try and battle for the spot, that's when that 3 seconds starts to go on down. So Novak is in basically the catbird seat if anything happens from here on out with about 7 to go.
Trupiano has to be on it in order to try to take away this third round. Garrett Lowe obviously has had the target on his back, gets a little bit closer right there, but can't seem to make that move. He's going to try to make it here in these next 5 laps or so, as Lowe continues to have the advantage.
Remember, it's very hard to try and get a pass at this kind of a racetrack because you don't have a lot of straightaways to be able to gain some speed, pick up a little draft, and whatnot. So it's going to be hard, once again, for Trupiano to get the pass done. That's why we've seen a lot of times drivers using the bumper bars a little bit to try and make the passes done. And look up front, because there's some lap traffic that may come into play possibly on the last lap.
Right now, they're not concerned about the lap traffic, and you mentioned if you're Trupiano, I think you really have to sail it in, maybe just a wee bit harder on one of these corners in these final 5 laps, and see if it does decide to stick, and if it does stick, maybe that is your point that you have to move on a Garrett Lowe, as Lowe continues to lead this thing. You got a 4-car battle back behind them for position number 3, but when does Trupiano really flip the switch and really go a little bit harder to try to take away this 3rd round of this eNASCAR Ignite Series?
I think he has to turn on the switch with about a lap and a half to go. Be able to establish himself towards the back bumper bar, at least to a car length on the exit of the sweeping corners of turns 2 and 3 and 6 and 7. Then that'll set him on up to be in a spot to be able to dive it in to try and get the pass done on the last corner. Expect him to turn up the pressure around that point.
And look at Alt make the move on Novak. He was there, and he's brought some friends along with him. Walsh looks like he's going to move to position number 5, and he's going to have Novak just ahead of him and trying to battle for that spot. Novak into the back bumper of Alt. Alt slides up the racetrack. Contact behind. Walsh goes around in the 8 as they continue to race on the 2-lap to go mark.
Unfortunate contact from behind. And unfortunate circumstances for Walsh, but still a lot of racing to go. That should help Novak maybe hold on to 3rd. But here is Trupiano getting himself positioned to make that last corner pass for the last lap.
He's been there for the last 29 laps. He's got to turn the wick up on this final one to make it happen. Down in corner number 1, he is on the wheel. He is on the bumper. Can he make this happen, Justin?
It's going to come down to this corner. How hard does he push on in? Pushes as hard as he can, but doesn't get to that back bumper bar. That should just about seal it for Lowe.
Garrett Lowe in car number 1 trying to come by and win race number 3 of the eNASCAR Ignite Series playoffs. Trupiano comes home a 2nd, but a very strong 2nd. Man, those two put on an absolute show in the 30 laps, and then that battle for 3rd on back was fairly intense, but those top 2, Garrett Lowe puts on a show once again, and he'll take a 3rd win in this series.
And Lowe's been very tough to try and get on by and try and win races. It just shows tonight the dominance to be able to hold on to the last lap again to take his 3rd checker flag of the playoffs after being the regular season champ. Right now position himself very well for when the finale comes on up at this point for Martinsville in a couple weeks.
And he's going to light it up here as the winner at the Texas Motor Speedway short road course. Here are your unofficial race results from round number 3 of the playoffs. It's Garrett Lowe taking the victory. Andy Trupiano coming home in position number 2. Top 2 in points, finished top 2 here this evening. Dylan Alt making a late race move on Zach Novak to take position number 3 away. Jake Matheson coming home in position number 5, charging hard at the end of that one. Kenny Brady finishes in 6th. Patrick Moose in 7th. Jarrett Liebert in position number 8. Devin Serra had to win one of those last chance qualifiers. And Ryan Pappison coming home in position number 10.
And rounding out the field, as you can see, Riley Thompson, 18 seconds back. Jacob Paul in 12th. 13th, Travis Oliver. J. Mitchell Adams in 14th with Nicholas Labish. Dave Walsh and Daniel Silvestri rounding out the 17 drivers who took part in tonight's main.
So what is your main takeaway from this round here as we get ready for the post-race? We'll talk to a couple of these drivers. Justin, what's your main takeaway from this race here at the Texas Motor Speedway?
The main takeaway for tonight, drivers trying to go as hard as they could to make sure they were able to get the points, knowing the pressure was on the line and how difficult it is to pass at Texas Motor Speedway's road course. And we've seen some very intense racing. Should be a very wild final round for sure.
And I see Garrett Lowe has made his way into the victory lane area. We'll chat with our winning driver here this evening, Garrett Lowe. And Garrett, you had the Trupiano number 5 on your back bumper. Did you feel the pressure back there?
Yeah, he was definitely there for sure. I mean, he was there from lap 1 to lap 30. So I mean, he definitely stayed with me, and I think we've been pretty much even speed pretty much every week so far. So he proved that once again tonight.
You've ran some road courses on this iRacing sim. Obviously, with this eNASCAR Ignite series, we've been doing a lot of ovals with this legend car. How difficult is this little road course here compared to some of the ones that you've driven on the sim?
It's so short and so simple, really, just to look at, but it's really deceiving because this racetrack is very, very tough because of how simple it looks. It's one of those racetracks where there's no grip anywhere, and you have to really fight for grip on exit. And I think that's what separated me and Andy from the rest of the field tonight, was we were just able to, find that grip on the exit and drive away from the field.
And hitting your marks every single lap. A great performance here. And obviously, you've been lights out in these first 3 rounds. We head to Stafford to close off this playoff round. Before we head to that final at Martinsville, what should the fans expect when we go to Stafford in 1 week time?
I think you're going to expect to see maybe some of the guys who are at the tail end of the top 30 or just outside of the top 30 really be aggressive to try to get those last chance points. To make it into the finale at Martinsville. That's going to be the cutoff race, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting to see who's able to battle their way in that last week.
And obviously, with the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, the pressure is off for you. Who makes it happen for this number 1 team? Who do you want to thank that got you to victory lane tonight at Texas?
Just everybody at 5-Star Racing, Fusion Racing for Rallycross, my spotter Michael Van Azal up on the roof tonight, big help there, and just everybody who helps get it done. I mean, it's been a long season, and we're still keeping on, so we'll just keep on going till the end.
And looked really good here this evening. That is your winner in playoff round number 3 for the eNASCAR Ignite Series, Garrett Lowe, and I believe Justin has caught up with our second place finisher and kept the pressure on all race long in the A main, Andy Trupiano.
Yes, indeed. Trupiano kept the pressure up all night long tonight in the heat races as well as in the 30-lap main. Andy, what's going through your mind right now after that wild race tonight?
Was kind of really trying to work on getting him to make a mistake. I wasn't going to force it. There will be a time and a place for that, but I don't think it was this week. Too early to be making moves like that.
How difficult was this racetrack tonight to drive around the course and to try and position yourself for passes?
It was really slick, so we just had to keep from making mistakes while trying to pressure the other guy into a mistake. So yeah, it wasn't too easy there.
Yeah, I was going to get towards that way, but as well, talk about, again, the pressure to make sure you were keeping up with the back of Lowe, again, to keep pressure for him. How difficult was it to just match the lap times and go back and forth in some cases as you did tonight?
Yeah, that was a really big part of it. Just trying to keep up with him was pretty hard. I was surprised I was able to actually stay with him there for a while and keep on his bumper. Like I said, I was just trying to pressure him into mistakes, but it didn't quite work out.
But with that right now, you came second into the points, behind Lowe, 1 more round before the finale. What's your mindset heading into next week?
Just want to cap off the season on a high note, keep up the momentum, and head into Martinsville with some strong runs under my belt.
Is there anyone you want to thank before you let you get going, rather?
Just some of my teammates for the support, like Eric Smith and David Moore and all those guys over there. Appreciate the support from them and all, yeah.
Thank you very much, Andy, and congratulations on the second place finish.
Yep, thank you.
That was Andy Trupiano finishing off in second. Tim?
We're going to catch up with Dylan Ault, who finished in position number 3 and had to work for it. Dylan, how much the pressure was on when you were chasing Zach Novak trying to make that late move?
My heart was beating like a lot. I was trying to get that position so hard. I had to do a lot. It was really fun.
You had a strong night all night long, and this Texas Motor Speedway road course, it's fairly tricky to try to navigate, trying to keep it on the straight and narrow and really walk that fine line and trying to pick up those spots, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard, and it was off the corners. If you wanted to race hard, you had to be really, really patient on the throttle, and yeah, you would get very loose if you went too early, and that's what I did. And at the last lap, when me and Zach were side by side through the S's, entering turn 3, yeah, he gave me a big bump, and then he tried to pass me. I just kept down low, and I was blocking him. Yeah.
Coming into this evening's racing action, you were pretty safe in the points, and coming out of this one, you're going to move to position number 5. So looks like you're all but a lock for that top 30. What is your mindset going into Stafford? Do you go in and try to win that thing, or what's your plan? Do you like that racetrack?
For this race, I was trying to just get into the A main, because I knew if I just made it to the A main every 4 races, I would be fine to get in top 30. Then I would actually try to get all my effort into the championship race at Martinsville and try to get the win. And yeah, Garrett and Andy are really fast. It's going to be really hard to beat them. And, yeah.
But a great effort here this evening. Position number 3, going to have a little bit of that pressure off going in to the Stafford Motor Speedway coming up in 1 week time. Who makes it happen for you to get to the racetrack, and who do you want to thank for your third place effort tonight?
I would thank Bundren Lawn Care, I think it is, and my team owner, Corey Hartz, and all my other teammates like Jacob Hall and stuff like that. Yeah.
And that's Dylan Alt coming home in position number 2. And Justin, final thoughts before we close this thing off. Great little race at Texas, turning right and left in these legend cars, but now we head to the Stafford Motor Speedway for that final playoff round to lock in those top 30 for Martinsville.
And that's going to be a crazy race, because there are some drivers that have not made it towards the main yet that are towards that top 30. You're going to see a lot of drivers fighting as hard as they can to get to the best track position, to get to the top 3 in their heats, and possibly practice the entire week to prepare to make sure they're in that top 30 for Martinsville, because there's not any room for mistakes come next week.
You're going to have a bunch of drivers up on the wheel to try to lock themselves in. Stafford is going to be a very key round. You can see that race unfold on Wednesday, September 19th from the Stafford Motor Speedway, and every race as we search for our first ever eNASCAR Ignite Series champion can be found right here on RaceSpot TV and NASCAR.com and the iRacing Esports Network. That's going to do it for us this evening. So for Hugo Louis and Justin Prince, my name is Tim Terry. Until next Wednesday, keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.